if you do the "I'll wait"
Yeah.
and it doesn't work, you're a punk. You're soft. But if you hit the "I'll wait" and it hits, that's gangster. That's Godfather level right there.
How to survive the classroom.
Hey, teacher besties. I am so excited to share with you that my book, They Never Taught Us That, is available right now. It is everything an experienced or first-year teacher needs to manage the chaos of a modern classroom, including some anecdotes to make you feel a little bit better, because if there is a way that you can screw up, I've probably done it. It also has advice on how to build trust with families, how to manage grading and lesson plans and IEPs, and everything else that they never went over in your teacher prep program. They Never Taught Us That is available everywhere right now. Hey, teacher besties. Welcome to How to Survive the Classroom. Gerald, I need to tell you about what happened this weekend and our community on here. And it feels so fitting that we just had Stephen Rogers on here not too long ago, because I feel like I earned some comedy stripes this past weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I went to New Orleans, which I'd never been before, and I didn't know what to expect. I heard a lot of negative things about New Orleans before I got there. So I was trying to brace myself. But I will say that I heard a lot of negative things about Portland and Seattle before I went to those places, and I had a lovely time in both. So I was really trying to keep an open mind. Got to New Orleans. New Orleans, Bourbon Street is exactly what everyone had kind of warned me it was. If you're walking down Bourbon Street, it's like if you're going down a really swampy, towards the end of the night street in a not great area in Vegas. That's the kind of vibe that was happening there. Plus, there was also National Guard presence pretty heavily going up and down, just patrolling on Bourbon Street, which was also weird for me to see. But the rest of New Orleans, lovely, had a wonderful time. However, we do need to talk about the show that I had, because it was not what was expected. So we talked about how sometimes you have to cancel shows. I went to New Orleans to basically just hang out with my husband while he was doing a work conference. So I just added this show on. I had no idea if I had anyone in New Orleans who would come to a show. I did. I had 14 people, which, you know what? I'm for it. If I have 14 people who, get a babysitter, take time out of their weekend, come over to see my show, I'm delighted by it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to perform for this group. I show up and the owner's like, hey, since you didn't have 40 people, we figured we'd combine you with another comedy show. And I was like, all right, bet. Let's do this thing. I meet the other comics 15 minutes after my original show was supposed to start.
Okay.
And it was very confusing. I wasn't and it was a small area, small bar, small venue. I'm sitting in the bar talking to all the people who came to see me. And I know they came to see me because they're all holding my book. And so I'm chatting with them. They're like, hey, when are we going to get started? Because teachers were like, hey, if the bell rings at 8:07, we need to be in our seats and we need to be ready to go. Right.
Yes.
So I'm kind of panicking because I'm like, hey guys, I'm so sorry. I think we're going to start a little late. We end up starting at 8 because that's what the other group's normal time is. So basically, because we combined, I then started at 8. The other comics, phenomenal, super fun, really good. But and this is in a small room with a concrete floor in New Orleans. And the spotlight that is up for the show keeps turning off randomly. Oh, and the microphone didn't work at the beginning of the show either.
Oh, sweet.
And so the crowd that came to see the other comics kind of came, trickled in a little bit late. You can tell they're kind of the regulars who always come to these, and they trickle in a little bit late. And so my audience had been there since 7:30, some of them 7:15, and had been waiting 45 minutes. And it was the strangest environment for a show I think I've ever done. And I want to say that I just barreled through and was like, you know what? I'm still going to be my best funny self, and I'm going to ignore the vibes that are in this room right now of kind of just uncomfortable. I didn't. It wasn't better. And here's the thing. The people in your life who love you often will lie to you after comedy shows and be like, listen, it was great. You did great. Um, and Steven comes to pretty much all of my comedy shows. And he's usually like, it wasn't that bad, anything like that. He said nothing about the show afterwards. And the next morning was like, yeah, that was pretty rough last night. I was like, yep, it was. And I was talking to somebody about it and they're like, I sometimes like lose sleep if I have an awkward conversation or say something stupid. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, imagine this awkward conversation happened in front of like 35 people who paid money to be disappointed by you. And just replay that over and over again in your head and never sleep again. So I was humbled this weekend.
It's weird which ones will stick with you. Cause I've done some before. I'm like, yeah, that was bad. And I'm just like, I'm gonna go get food and go home. Like, it doesn't phase me. I'm like, whatever. But then some of them, it's like, like then you feel it and you're like, you're pissed.
Yeah.
You're just angry.
Yeah. I, I I think the thing is like if I know I performed well and the audience just wasn't with it, I can sleep after that. That's okay. But if I know that the audience wasn't with it and in response to that I didn't perform super well, that's what makes me lose sleep. It reminds me of like when I was teaching and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't do a good job." And then a kid called me out on it and now I'm embarrassed. Like it's just this deep, deep shame and
Yeah.
embarrassment. It was pretty brutal. It was pretty brutal, I'm not gonna lie.
Did you
But I
address
will
it?
I mean, a little bit. I did with the comics afterwards because it's also one of those things like you don't want to say like this is going poorly necessarily unless you can do it in a way that's funny enough it helps pull up. And it was just so far gone that like I acted like everything was great. I thanked every person who came out, all of that. And then
Yeah,
all
it
the
took what,
comics were
3 or 4 minutes?
shut up. Yeah. Um, listen, one by one, I'm like, thank you so much. They're like, we had a great time. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, sure. Because you don't want to also, because sometimes you will have people that are like, I had a great time. What do you mean? And sometimes they're lying, but sometimes they did have a great time. And so you also don't want to like sour somebody's good time by being like, that was very uncomfortable for me. I want to
Yeah.
forget. And that happens so rarely now. Like now I'm like on my grind. I feel like I put on a really good show. And so it threw me also that it wasn't. But I will say this is something that's so interesting to me is comedians are so much nicer to you after you have a bad set than after you have a good one, which I think is fascinating. Like they were all lovely to me, like chatted with me afterwards. Whereas when I've had really good sets, a lot of times the comics like are not nearly as friendly. I just think that's an interesting little tidbit for people who have never
I feel
tried to
like
go into the world of comedy.
it's the opposite.
Really? People are nicer to you after you have a good set?
I think though after I'm bad, I'm like, don't talk to me. Like,
It's you.
because I've had people like trying. They're like, "Oh yeah, it was fine." And I was like, "No, it wasn't. We both saw it. Like, why are we acting like that was okay? Like, shut up. Yeah, like just let me suck at this and
Yeah.
just let me just feel it. Like, stop."
Yeah. That maybe that's you. Maybe it's just me like being very apologetic and that's why I feel like everyone's being so nice because I'm just like, wow, guys, we experienced that. That did happen. And they're just like, we did. It's like, all right, well, good game. Good game. Good game. It is almost like the same feeling as when you really screwed up in like the last 2 minutes of a game and everybody saw it and everybody knows it was you and you screwed up and everyone's just like, yeah, it's all right, man. You'll get him next time. You'll get him
That
next
just
time.
happened. I was moving stuff into the place I'm moving on, I guess, Tuesday, and I'm watching the Knicks game, and they're playing Cleveland, and Cleveland's up like 22 in New York, 7 minutes left,
Mm.
and just the New York just won't miss, and
Ah,
Cleveland won't call a timeout. Cleveland didn't stop it. New York just rolled back, sent the game to overtime, dogged them in overtime, ended up winning the game by like 7 or 8. And it's like, bro, you were like ESPN will show the percentages like of you winning. It said with 7.5 minutes left, Cleveland had 99.9% chance to win, and they lost.
when you're statistically like an anomaly for losing, and you lose, that's insane. That's
At
brutal. I
one
bet somebody made crazy money on their sports betting with that one though.
at one point, well, your boy made like $22, but
Hey,
because I took him at halftime when they were like down 4, I was like, oh, that's fine.
nice.
And then of course they go down 22 at one point. I'm watching. I'm like, all right, well that's money I'm not getting back. And I'm watching them win. I'm like, heck yeah, buy my lunch, buy my lunch.
I love it. That's amazing. Okay, so I have a question for you. So I just finished my semester officially.
Okay.
So yay. It's a delight. I'm so happy. I'm spending a lot of time planting things in my garden because, there's nothing when if you bomb on stage, you don't have a physical manifestation of your failure, but if you garden, you will have a daily physical manifestation of all the ways that you have failed at gardening. So, because I like that immediate gratification of pain in like a physical form, I've started to garden.
Do you know immediately with gardening though? Like, don't that take time? Ain't that the point?
So weirdly, yes and no, because if you like, it's not immediate, but within a couple days, like you can usually see if the seed is like sprouting, depending on what kind of
That's
seed it
wild.
is. It is. It's crazy. Um, but I was thinking because one of my friends is like wrapping up her school year. She's trying to get ready. And she had to do a professional development that she absolutely did not need to do. And the school district was like, no, we really want you to take this day. And so she had to miss a day in like the last few weeks of school. And I'm just wondering, do you think that you would tell your students if you knew you were going to be out? Like, what would you do to prepare them? Or would you just like let it slide?
I've done both. I like yesterday, I knew I wasn't gonna be there today, and my kids left, and I said, "See you tomorrow." I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them I wasn't coming. I told like one group of 8th graders I wasn't coming, but that's because we were going through a whole spiel about something else. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. We're gonna do this Friday. We're off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here's what's happening next week." And sometimes it just kind of depends on how I'm trying to plan for something.
Mm.
But I kind of think like with some of the groups, I don't like to tell them I'm not going to be there because then they can plan. They're like, oh, we're not going to sit in our seats. We're going to do this. If sometimes they're used to coming in, me not being in the room. I like to do the college professor thing and walk in after everybody gets in there. Like sometimes I'm down the hall and I come back and I'll just come in loud and be like, all right, do this. And they're like, oh, all right. Or I'll
They're
hit the
not,
door or something. Sometimes I stand outside the door and just listen.
oh, that's messy. Do you ever hear anything crazy?
No, I just hear them like they'll be up yapping, and I'll walk. And if they're doing something I don't like, I'll walk in and crash out. And then they're like, and then I'll be like, all right, go canvas if it's working.
If it's working. Yeah. I actually, one of my friends just asked me about the whole Canvas hack. Do you know how it was resolved?
Who cares?
That was kind of my vibe, but like,
They
I'm gonna hold
had
on.
to pay. They
They
probably
had to
had to
have, right?
pay.
Hold on. How was the Canvas? I'm Googling right now, guys. It's the live Google. How was yeah, they did. They definitely paid up. So I just Googled, it said the Canvas cyber attack was resolved when its parent company, Instructure, reached an agreement with the hackers. Instructure retrieved the stolen data, received confirmation of its destruction, and secured a promise that no customers will be extorted. The breach, orchestrated by the group Shiny Hunters, was made possible by an exploited vulnerability in the free for teacher accounts. So, in order to neutralize the threat, they temporarily shut down those accounts and all of that. So they must have paid, which I
So
find fascinating because we all knew that there was a hack. No one is saying how much money those hackers made, but it had to be a crazy amount of money.
I I don't know if this happened everywhere, but I know that students and teachers, when they got on like a couple days after the Canvas hack, a ransom notice came up, like saying essentially, "Hey, y'all tried to patch it, didn't work." Like essentially, the hacker saying, "Y'all tried to fix this, didn't work. So you can contact these people to figure out how to make sure your data doesn't get leaked, and your organization has until this date to pay up, or we're gonna do whatever we're gonna do with this data. And it was like crazy. So like I start seeing it in like these Facebook groups and stuff. And they're talking about this ransom notice, and I'm kind of like, this is kind of funny that they're telling us like, hey, y'all thought you did something, you didn't. Like we
You
still got
didn't.
it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, mine was only down for like 14 hours. How long was yours down for?
Like 5 days.
No way.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. I only post in Canvas. I'm like, man, I ain't never printed nothing off. Like, what are we doing? I'm like, they're gonna make me have to change my whole way of doing things. And I don't like it.
Yeah.
I do not
That's
like it at all.
that's so crazy. No, mine was only down for 14 hours, which also makes me wonder if there wasn't like a tiered discussion of like, we need this back online first, because it would make sense that universities would get access back first because they probably pay the most money. Um, but yeah, I want to know the money. I want to know the dollar amount because that got
You think
real
university
hush
is more than
hush.
the school system?
I think that they have more accessible money to them. That would be liquid cash. They could go and be like, let's move money over. Though I don't know that the
Maybe.
university has actually paid anything. I think it must have been just the owners of Canvas, which
Yeah.
also makes me wonder, like, how are they making so much money? Like, how much are school districts paying to use Canvas? Is the other thing. Like, if they just were able to like pay off the hackers like that, that's a scary thought.
Imagine being the person who like opened the email that gave up all. Like you just read it and you're like my Amazon order's delayed, and you click a button and you're like, oh my god.
Oh
And you just
no,
shut down the country.
that's crazy to think about. Because it said it was from like a free teacher access account. And I have no idea how any kind of hacks happen whatsoever. Like that world is completely foreign to me. But that would be insane to be like, oh, I just clicked this button that looked like it said it was from my administrator that said they needed to see me in their office right now. And so I clicked 3 buttons and then I realized, oh, that was actually at a Gmail account instead of at, .edu account. Ooh, it's
I
brutal.
got one time, but it was one of the ones our district sends out emails that are sus. So
Yeah,
you'll like to test you, and I got by one of those. I
I
had to do
hate
a
those.
phishing
Those piss
training.
me off, man. I think that's
And
so petty of the district.
now I report everything as phishing. I've reported stuff that wasn't phishing. It'd be like, hey, we got PLC tomorrow. But this feels like phishing.
Yeah,
I'm like, no,
yeah.
I don't want to do that.
You're
Phishing.
like, no.
Suspicious.
There was a disgruntled former employee at one of the jobs that I worked at who sent out emails and YouTube videos to the entire district. So all of the staff, all of the students, everybody got like 12 emails, and it was like it was insane stuff. Like it was insane ramblings. Like this person was having a psychotic break, but they were doing it over the course of like 12 hours and posting videos and just saying like really insane stuff. And I noticed, and all my teacher friends noticed, but it was like a Sunday night when it started. And so we all saw all the emails and everything, and we're like texting each other about them. But by the morning, all of the emails had been somehow like digitally removed from all of our accounts. So the district had like gone in and removed the evidence of the fact any of it had ever happened. Um, which was like I was like, oh, I guess yeah, that makes sense. Like they tell us we have no privacy on our work computers, so I guess they also can make things disappear, which is a
That's
little interesting.
crazy. You
Yeah,
you have so many more like interesting things happen to you.
I'm much much older than you, as we've established. I'm so much older than you, so that's probably why. What's funny though is as you were talking about how embarrassing it would be to be that teacher that had like clicked on the wrong phishing link and crashed Canvas, I would have rather been the teacher that crashed Canvas for the entire country than have to remember back the comedy set that I did on Sunday night.
That's crazy.
That's how real it was. It was so bad that I relived it that night in a dream, but instead of it being where it was on Funny AF. And I was at the end of that, I was like apologizing to Kevin Hart. I was like, man, that was not my best work. I'm really sorry.
You,
Which is wild. I
we're gonna
realized
get
that, like,
you in the trenches, Andrea.
I
Because
know,
let me
guys.
tell you, you sent me a picture of the room, and I didn't say this to you at the time. But I looked at it, I'm like, actually, don't look that bad. I was like, that might be
My
fine.
gosh. Yeah, it wasn't that the room was that bad, guys. Truly, like, it wasn't that. It was just that the vibe was weird, and it just wasn't my best. And so,
I did a show
and
one time in a Mexican restaurant right by the door where they would bring all the bus boy stuff out,
yeah,
and they would bring the food out. Have you ever done a show at a free show at a Mexican restaurant that didn't know you were gonna be there, and they bring fajitas out next to you through the door? No. You sent me a picture. I was like, Andrew, they have a stage, they have a microphone.
they did.
Like,
Yeah, it's true.
I'm like, I don't know.
I have had to perform surprise comedy for people at a restaurant before. So I have had that, but there weren't fajitas. That's pretty brutal to get upstaged by a pan of sizzling meat. Like that's rough. That's real
It's
rough.
crazy.
All right, guys. We are going to take a very quick break and we'll be right back. Have you ever wondered what I would say if my mother and my administrators weren't watching every single thing I do on social media? Well, that's exactly what my stand-up show is, and I'm going to be coming to a town near you super soon. You can get tickets at educatorandrea.com/tickets. All right, welcome back, teacher besties. Okay, so I have more teacher red flag, green flags for you.
Okay.
But these are like the cliche ones. Okay, so like the things that like I feel like teachers do really often, but are like, I don't know. To me, I have like a very distinct like vibe off of all of these. So
Why'd you
I'm
do that little
interested.
Ratatouille thing when
I
you
don't
said
know.
that?
I did just watch Ratatouille yesterday. That's probably why. That movie's amazing.
You're
I
virtue
love
signaling
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille right now.
I
You're code switching Ratatouille.
I love Ratatouille. That movie's
I haven't
incredible.
seen Ratatouille in a long time.
Gotta revisit. So good. All right. If a teacher's standing at the front of the classroom and says, "I'll wait," while they wait for their students to be quiet, is that like a red flag or a green flag to you?
I go green flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a red flag if they stand there and keep trying to talk and just getting dunked on by the kids. I think if you can do the "I'll wait" and
Yeah.
it doesn't work, you're a punk. You're soft.
Okay.
But if you hit the "I'll wait" and it hits, that's gangster. That's Godfather level right there.
Okay. But have you ever had it happen where you said, "I'll wait," and they're like, "Bet," and they just keep talking? Because I have had that happen before and it is brutal. You've never had that? Jay.
Maybe once.
Oh, it's awful. It's so, so awful. And then I'm like, what do I like? Because truly, it's one of those where like, okay, or what? Like, all right, wait, go for it, girl. Like, what am I gonna like? What's my next step? If I say I'll wait, and they're like, excellent, they just keep talking, then I'm just like, okay, well, now I'm just gonna like stare daggers at them.
That's kind of like they just go, all right, swag. And they just keep talking.
It happened. It was this freshman class. I had 43 freshmen in that class, and
That's insane.
insane. And of the 43, 27 were boys. And so it was a majority male class, like 7th period, freshman English. And I tried that once. I was like, I'll wait. And one of the guys like, bet. And they just turned around and all of them kept talking. And I'm like, wait.
Oh, like I've had them before just take a while to stop talking after that. If one said, okay, my next move, get out. I don't care where you
Yeah.
go, get out of my class. And I kick them out. And they don't like it when I do that. But if
Yeah.
I kick a kid out, look, I was at my wit's end.
Yeah.
I'll kick a kid out quick and just call and be like, hey, they're on their way. I'm not waiting for you to come down here. I'm sending them to you. You can figure it out.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
that's about all I got going for me is classroom management. They don't play with. It don't happen too often where they just. I mean, rather large, 300 something pound dude who's. We're on a podcast, so I can say I'm buff. Like I'm strong. You know,
Mhm.
like I actually got the biggest muscles anybody on here has ever seen. I hope you're listening.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
nobody, no, I'm not getting ignored most of the time
Yeah,
just because of
that's
my
true.
stature.
Well, exactly. That's the struggle, right? Is like, let's say and because even freshmen sometimes would be bigger and taller than me. And if I'm trying to like stare daggers at them, I'm like looking up like a little baby bird, like,
Yeah.
like that's not it. Like I'm not. And I had a teacher in 8th grade who she could do that, and she was not even 5 feet tall, but her ability, she was a Marine. And so her ability to just stare at someone and you could watch them wither under her stare. And it was never me. And it's kind of sad because I wanted it to be me so bad, but I would just be like, I'll wait. And then they're like, okay. Because I also hate silence, so they know I probably won't. I'll probably just be like, "All right, guys, come on." It's not it. Not it. Okay. The next one is, what if a teacher, after a student says, "Can I go to the bathroom?" They say, "I don't know, can you?" Is that a red flag or a green flag?
It's hard to classify these as red flag because I've probably said that.
Doesn't mean it's not a red flag, Jerry. We just identified that me not being able to wait when I say I'll wait, it's a red flag. I should have probably done better with that. My classroom management could have been better. For sure, especially with that class of 40
Yeah.
something freshmen.
I go green flag. I'll take back the other one because I think this is the green flag. I think that's funnier when you go, I don't know. Can you? I sometimes will put a twist on. I'm trying to think of funny ways I've responded.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think I ever did.
oh,
I think I was always like, yeah, sure.
one of the ones
go
I'll
for
get
it.
is instead of "Can I go to the bathroom?" they'll go, "Mr. Patoka, I can go to the bathroom,"
Oh,
and I'm like, "Are you asking me or telling me?"
yeah.
Like,
That I don't like that.
yeah,
I think my response because I've had kids do that, and sometimes my own sweet children, angelic babes who often pop their little heads into our recording.
which they haven't
They,
yet today.
you know why? Daddy's home.
Oh,
Daddy's up there. Yeah. We just got back. Poor Steven, just got back from New Orleans at like 3:00 in the morning after traveling for like 18 hours because he got delayed and everything. So he's up there with the kids. That's why we haven't seen their beautiful faces yet. But they'll say something out of pocket. Like, of course, unsurprisingly, my son will be like, "Mom, water." And I'm like, try again. Try again correctly. And then he'll be like, "Mom, may I please have some water?" Because we do not talk to people like that. I do have a story also. Forgot about this. They had kindergarten graduation Tuesday night.
oh,
And
I have a hill to die on. Keep going.
oh, okay, great.
Don't let me
Um,
forget.
okay, Tuesday night kindergarten graduation. I'm there. Steven is still like traveling for work, so it's just me. Both my kids are in this performance. And I'm recording so that I've got it recorded for Steven since he won't be there. And so and my son is like in the center and he has to hold a flag for part of it. And so I see him after everyone else has like walked away. It's just my son up there standing holding the flag then. And he's pointing at me and he's saying something, but I can't tell what he's saying. I'm like, what? And he's like mouthing something to me and then just yells into the microphone, "Clap." And one of the teachers is like, "What are you doing? Go over there." He's like, "Why won't my mom clap into the microphone?" And like all of the parents just look at me like, "Why aren't you clapping for your kindergartner? You horrible, horrible mother." And I'm like, "I was recording. I'm sorry. I only had one hand." And I told my son that
And you got
afterwards. I
this
was
on
like,
video?
yes, yes, I have it on video. I'll send it to the pod so we can play it. We can plug it in right here. was filming. I had only one hand. I was so embarrassed. And there wasn't anything I could do. I was just like trying to not be mortified by it. And afterwards he was like, "Why weren't you clapping?" And I was like, "Buddy, I couldn't clap because my hand was holding the camera." And he's like, "You have another hand." Like, okay. This
That
kid,
kid's gonna be a superstar.
he's gonna get, yeah. Well, and as the parents were leaving, they all like gave me like smiling looks and stuff. And one of the moms was like, "He must keep you busy." And I'm like, "He keeps me humble." Like, because
That's when
just,
you should have just stood up and like just like a standing O,
oh
like
my
show
gosh,
stopping.
the only person standing up and clapping for, and if those who've been to my show know, I have pretty strong feelings
Yeah.
about children performances anyways. But
Would that
yeah,
be worse than the New Orleans thing? Standing up and
no,
clapping by yourself? Okay.
no, no. Unfortunately, my the amount of shame that I can experience is a lot more profound than I ever realized, because I'm not embarrassed easily. Like, I feel like I have a pretty high threshold for being embarrassed and for like having anxiety about something I've said or done. Um, which is why doing comedy is an interesting experience for me, because your worst moments just they live on. They live on truly. Okay, I want to hear the hill that you're gonna die on.
We gotta get rid of these little funky graduations. I think it's so stupid. Now I wanna clarify, I like I'm not saying don't recognize, maybe do something like, "Hey, see ya," thing, like, my school calls it, moving on or moving up
Okay.
thing, and they do it. But when you say, I have my kid's graduation," I'm like, "Your kid's 9. Like, what are we doing?" It's a 5th grade graduation. I don't know how old you are at 9, but whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
we're having these, like, kindergarten graduations, 5th grade graduation, 8th grade graduations. Like, that shit's stupid.
Okay,
Like,
so which ones should we still have, do you
the
think?
12th grade one,
That's it? Just 12th
that's
grade?
it. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Congrats. You got there.
I'm trying
Even that one's like, we're doing too much. You did what
I
you were expected to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It is funny though, because people do freak out about high school graduations and make it, and I think it's less because weirdly, it's less about the accomplishment and more about the fact that it is this huge moment of change in someone's life when they go from being someone who has to legally go to school to now they could do nothing, and the law is not going to imprison their parents. And so to me, I think that's really why it's almost like a finish line for the parents in some ways, or like a marking point of like, okay, I got them to this point for the parents. I agree that I think kindergarten graduation is ridiculous. My kids also had preschool graduation. So they had preschool graduation, then they had kindergarten
Stupid.
graduation. I agree. I agree. Some of the parents at the school that my kids go to made specialized, what are those things called? Like little sash things to put around. You know, like when you get honors at a college, a bunch of the kids got like special customized sashes. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not spending $30 for a customized sash. I'm so sorry. My kid's not going to be that kid. It's not going to happen. I'm so sorry to say it. And I agree, kindergarten graduation, preschool graduation, ridiculous. People do it because it's cute and because kids that are difficult talk into the microphone and say, "Mom, why aren't you clapping?" And people
That's
eat
funny.
that up.
That
That's
makes it
funny.
worth
They
it.
eat that
That's
up.
funny.
That's right. I think 5th grade, I feel the same way. We could get rid of 5th grade. We could get rid of kindergarten. I do like 8th grade graduation because that to me starts like teenage years. Like when you're
Yeah.
in high school, like you're an actual teenager. So I don't mind that one, but I am on your side to like, let's ask, like, what are we doing? Why are we
I think we
spending
get
money,
rid of all of
resources,
them.
energy? Even
I
high
think we get
school.
rid of all of them. Unless you from my school or you a parent something you listen, the one my school does, that's fine. All the other ones, stupid.
Yeah.
I just for PR. But
Hmm.
and while we're at it, the people who bedazzle their caps.
You don't like it?
No, I want to walk up to them and flick it off their head. Stupid.
What if it's like a funny quote?
Stupid.
Oh, I don't know.
It's
I like a
stupid.
little.
You want to do a funny quote? Grab the microphone and speak into it.
Okay,
Do
when
what
you
do what your
graduated,
child did and grab the mic and go clap. That's funny.
that
Bump the sparkles, baby. That's stupid.
okay. When you graduated, were kids doing that? Were they decorating their caps, or is that something that has started happening more since you graduated? Because people were not doing it when I
I
graduated.
don't remember it in high school.
Okay,
Um,
so is this because you're an old man now, and it's your curmudgeony opinion?
so when I did 2 years, and I'm gonna say this one's stupid too. I did 2 years at community college and got an associate's and
Hmm.
did a graduation.
Okay,
And I did that one more so I wasn't gonna do it. I
yeah,
did it to, like, please my grandparents, like, um, mainly my mom's mom. Like,
yeah.
I did it to please her,
Hmm.
and, um, because of when I graduated high school, I made bank. They was giving me money
Oh,
left and
yeah,
right, and I said, "Yeah, Imma do another one of these graduations, big dog. Like, yeah, I'm doing that." Like, I
that's
felt like
fair.
I wasn't gonna get nothing, I ain't do it. I'm like, "Yeah, Imma get the cake afterwards or whatever." But no, that one was stupid. It's like, cause I knew if that's it, if you're done, like, you do something in community college and you're done,
Yeah,
that's sweet. Like,
right.
but if you know you only did that to save money before you go to big boy college, I didn't do the stuff at state. Well,
Yeah,
I went to
I'm trying to
NC
think.
State. I didn't do my bachelor's graduation, cause I graduated, like, in the summer, and I didn't want
Oh,
by the
yeah,
time it came, I would have had to walk with the people in the winter. I'm like, I had been done. I said, "Just
yeah,
mail me the thing. I don't wanna do it."
yeah. I walked for my bachelor's and my first master's because they were both local. I didn't walk for my community college associate's degree, and I did not walk for my doctorate. I've actually no one time I put on my graduation regalia for my doctorate for pictures, because my husband graduated with his master's degree on the exact same day, and we were like, okay, my PhD, his master's, and we were talking about which one to go to. And the biggest determining factor was number one, my husband didn't get to walk for any of his ceremonies. Like he didn't get to walk for his
Yeah.
bachelor's or any of that kind of stuff. But he also graduated from Yale and I was graduating from Liberty. And I'm like, I would rather go to your graduation, see you graduate. I'll wear my regalia and take pictures and then go throw my regalia somewhere else. And so that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those are like college, master's, PhD, like those all seem like, yeah, you did something. You should take a moment and celebrate that thing.
If I
But yeah,
do a
kindergarten,
master's, I would probably walk for that one because
you
I
did a
do
different,
I regret a little bit not walking for the bachelor's, but NC State's one of the biggest public schools in North Carolina.
yeah, like a 12-hour graduation or whatever
I
it is
wasn't trying to do all
insane.
that. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to do all that.
Um,
But yeah, the
I'm
bedazzled caps and anything besides high school graduation is stupid, and we should cancel it.
I love it. I love that you
And
have hills to die on.
I don't even think it's good for the parents.
Really? What how are the parents impacted by the bedazzled caps?
I they paid for it probably, but
Probably.
no, like you said something about, and I want to circle back to this point. You said something about, I think it's more of a signal, like for the parents, and like,
Mhm.
nah, it's stupid. Like you did what, again, it's like the kid. You did what you're supposed to do. Parents, you got your kid through school. What was you gonna do? Casey Anthony? Like, no, not doing that.
Jerry, if you had kids, you would know. Listen, listen, the way you get those kids across
I'd
the
be mad. I'd be like, you're making me go sit out in the sun.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna do it
I'll
for your kid one
probably
day, but
maybe, but I also feel like I might just pay that kid. Be like, look,
oh
whatever
my
your
gosh.
grandparents are giving you for graduating, I'll double it to not have to do it.
I actually remember, before I had kids, I got really annoyed when people would post that their kids were walking for the first time, because I was like, "It's like a normal developmental milestone." Like, it's not noteworthy that they're doing normal developmental stuff unless they have some sort of thing going on where it isn't normal and there are, like, really I just remember being annoyed by that. And now I'm a parent. I'm sure I posted about it when my kids, started walking. But those big moments, people celebrate them. It's for the kids and it's for the parents, Jerry. Just let people celebrate and have magical things.
No,
Except for
because I'm
kindergarten.
like, I listened to Colin Joseph's book, one of the weekend update guys from
Yep,
Saturday Night
I've read
Live,
it.
and he talks about he didn't talk until he was 4.
Yeah.
That's the one you put on Facebook. Hey guys, Colin started talking,
He
man.
started
Like
talking.
that would
Yeah,
be a good one.
that's true.
It is like when Colin Jost started talking, that would be a good one. But like if your kid started talking on schedule, great. He's supposed to. Now he ain't ever gonna stop. But like
It's
if
true.
that kid's been mute and the kid just starts talking, yeah, celebrate that one because that feels like a
Right.
win.
Yeah. Yeah. Little do they know in a couple years they're going to be talking into the microphone and being like, clap.
That's
Why aren't you
hilarious.
clapping? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Still recovering, guys. Still recovering.
I'm also picturing like the phone like recording
Yeah.
and then just the camera angle changing a little bit like
Oh, it did. And then went right down onto my knee and I didn't stop recording right away. So you can hear me telling the other parents, like, I was trying to record. Okay, guys, I want to hear about your thoughts. I want to hear if we're crazy for not enjoying all these millions of graduations, because I think he's right. I think we got to get rid of some of these graduations. So you can contact us. Email me, Andrea@human-content.com or at @educatorandrea, or you can contact the whole Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok at Human Content Pods. And thank you guys so much for leaving your reviews, and make sure that you do that. If you haven't done that, what are you doing? Go leave a review. We need it. And you can check the full video episodes up every week on YouTube at Educator Andrea, so you can see how strong and buff Jerry is. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Andrea Forkham.
I'm buff Jerry Patoka.
And our executive producers are Andrea Forkham, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Pertizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. And to learn more about how to survive the classroom's program disclaimer and ethics policy and submission verification and licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. How to Survive the Classroom is a human content production.
How to survive the classroom.
Thank you so much for watching. Want more of How to Survive the Classroom? You can watch more episodes right now. Just click on that little box over there. You see it? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.